Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Yesu mwokozi wangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu
In front of you is Magoso Primary School and Mashiboni Youth, ready to present to you songs from Kibera. Welcome.
Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Yesu mwokozi wangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni. Ninatamani kumwona Mungu we baba yangu kwenye makao mema mbinguni.
Used for Magoso
Magoso, I love Japan together. It's Magoso. Ibarasan, Magoso, Oji, and Magoso School. Hayakawa-san.
Jackie-san, arigatou.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much for joining the event. Get to know us, Magoso School in Kibera Slum, our stories of stepping out to the world. I am the MC for today. I'm a third-year school student in senior high school. My name is Taku, and I am Akari, a third-year university student. We'll be hosting together today. This event is being organized jointly by young people from the OB and OGs from Magoso School in Kenya and students in Japan to help you learn more about Kenya, Kibera, and the Magoso School. Magoso School is a school and a refuge for people in one of Africa's largest slums called Kibera in Kenya. Includes also a school for orphans, former street children, and other children in need as well. We're so happy today to have the graduates of, or people who have attended Magoso School. We have Johnson, York, and Agnes, the three of them joining us today. Thank you so much, all three. We have Johnson, if you can give a wave. Johnson is a student in university in Kenya at the Kenyatta University, the second most prestigious university in the country. He's studying commerce day and night and also hoping to work in community development to raise the stat. And next we have York. York is a student in Mombasa who is studying human resource management, and he hopes to work in sustainable urban development for people in his local area in the future. And finally, we have Agnes. Agnes graduated last year from a university in Japan, and she is currently working at a welfare facility in Sendai called Andanchi as a child instructor. She's been living in Japan for 7 years, and so she'll actually be speaking in Japanese language today. So thank you, and we're so glad to have these three presenters from Kenya today, and we hope that through hearing them, you will be able to feel closer to them after hearing their introductions. So now I'd like to introduce today's schedule. So first, the members of Magocoro will speak to you about their motivation in the planning and organizing the event. Then we'll have the presentation from the Magoso School OBOGs. We'll hear also a greeting from Ms. Chiaki Hayakawa, the organizer of Magoso School, then Q&A, and also a presentation from the Japanese students after that as well. So first of all, we'd like to have a greeting from the Japanese organizers today, and we'll hear from Yuka. Hello, thank you so much for joining our event today. We're really glad to have this chance for you to get to know more about Magoso School and the youth who have studied there. Our group, Magocoro, is a group of youth volunteers who are organizing today. So we're from all different parts of Japan, and we're very glad to have opportunities to exchange together and get to know youth from Kenya. It's university students and high school students looking to also make a social contribution as well. In the preparation for today, we've worked together with the Magoso OB-OG Club, had many different meetings, prepared the different flyers and promotional materials, and lots of different activities to bring us to today. Our activities are something which we really feel is very significant for us. Every week, we've been having meetings to prepare. And within this, we have the chance that Agnes, Johnson, and York together to exchange with us across borders even, and think about how we can create a better future together and exchange our different ideas and opinions about that. So we have these excellent presentations that they have taught us so much about. So we'd like to say thank you to the OB and OGs from Magoso, and also to the UNICEF Association of Hyogo. So thank you everybody for giving us the opportunity for today's event. And we'd also like to hope that all of the participants will really enjoy the time today. So please stay with us until the end, and we hope that you enjoy the event. Thank you so much, Yuka, for these words to open us up for today. And I'm very glad that soon I'll be introducing the Kenyan students, but we have just a few notices to share. First of all, today will be done with simultaneous interpretation, so make sure that you select the little globe icon at the bottom. So for English listeners, hopefully you can hear the voice of the interpreter now. We'd also like to let you know that the presentation materials will be all displayed in English so that you can see the original work of all of the Kenyan presenters today. Thanks for your understanding on that. We'll have time for Q&A and discussion for you to also share directly questions to each of our speakers today. Feel free to enter things in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen anytime during the event. So you can add your questions anytime during the event as you're listening in. Please note that if you send any questions to the chat, we might not be able to get to them. So any questions, please use the Q&A. And feel free to write your questions in either Japanese or English. We have interpretation today, and so any questions that are coming in either language will all be shared with our presenters. So sorry to keep you waiting, but first we will hear about Kenya from Johnson. Over to you, Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, the MC, for giving me this opportunity to speak. Hello, everyone. I am Johnson Ochieng, a third-year Kenyan student at Kenyatta University. I am pursuing a degree in Bachelor of Commerce, Finance option. I am 23 years old. I'm also a proud member of Magoso BOG Club Generation 8. So for my today first presentation, I'm going to talk I'm going to share with you the history of Kenya, that is the social, economical, and the political history of Kenya. Welcome on board. Ever heard of Kenya? If not, join us. If you've heard of Kenya, then be my guest to hear more about Kenya. Kenya is a country in Eastern Africa with a coastline on the Indian Ocean. It encompasses the savanna, the lakelands, the Great Rift Valley, the Rift Valley, and the mountain highlands. It is also home to wildlife like lions, elephants, giraffes, rhinos, among others. The capital city of Kenya is Nairobi. Kenya, according to the World Bank, has a population of 53.77 million. The national language in Kenya is Swahili, and the official language in Kenya is English. Just a brief history of Kenya. Kenya was declared a British protectorate in 1895. This marked the beginning of colonization in Kenya. The British had established the divide and rule method in Kenya. This led to the creation of the White Highlands as the Kenyans worked as peasants in the European farms. Africans in Kenya were segregated along tribal lines. The British rule in Kenya was marked with severe brutality. Most of the lands in Kenya were taken by the British. The operations by the British led to the emergence of the freedom fighters, such as Jomo Kenyatta, Oginga Odinga, Dedan Kimathi, among others. On our slides, you can see the images. The first image is for Dedan Kimathi. The second image is for Oginga Odinga. And the third image is for Jomo Kenyatta. These freedom fighters were dubbed the Mau Mau fighters. Their continuous fight for independence granted Kenya self-rule. In 1963, Kenya gained independence, while in the following year, that is in 1964, Kenya became a republic. Kenyan flag at independence are the following colors. As you can see from the image: red, white, green, and black. Red signified the bloodshed during the fight for independence. White signified peace, while green signified the vegetation that covered the Kenyan land. And lastly, the black color. The black color signifies the people. Let's now look at the social history of Kenya. Kenya at independence had 42 tribes. But with time, the government has granted 5 more minority tribes citizenship. Hence, Kenya currently has 47 different tribes. These minority tribes include the Nubian tribe, the Tharaka tribe. Different tribes have different cultural heritage. As you all know, different people from different backgrounds have different heritages. Like the Kikuyus are mainly farmers. The Luos are mainly fishermen. The Kambas are mainly long-distance traders. And the famous Maasais are livestock keepers. Slums in Kenya. I know most of us in this forum only know of Kibera as a slum. But do you know the other slums in Kenya? There are. We are mainly used to Kibera as a slum in Kenya. But do you know the other slums in Kenya? These other slums in Kenya include Mathare slum, Kayole slum, Dandora slum, Obadogo slum, Fortanyayo slum, Huruma slum, Kawangware slum, and Mukuru kwa Jenga. These places have poor living conditions. There are lack of affordable housing. There is scarcity of water, insecurity, and high levels of infections. The way of governance in Kenya. Where many people exist, we all know there should be a system of governance to bring law and order. Kenya is a sovereign state headed by the president. Kenya's state is divided as follows, just as Japan is divided into prefectures. Kenya is divided into counties, constituencies, and wards. There are a total of 47 counties in Kenya. Each county is headed by a governor. Below counties, counties are further divided into constituencies, also known as the sub-counties. These constituencies are 290 in number. Each constituency is headed by a member of parliament. Below the constituencies, that is the sub-counties, there is a further division. These sub-counties are further divided into wards. There are a total of 1,450 wards in Kenya. Each ward is headed by a member of county assembly. Developing or emerging news in Kenya. This is our electioneering year as Kenyans. We shall have our general election on the 9th of August, 2022. As a country, we shall be voting in new leaders, such as the president, the governor, the senator, the member of parliament, the women representative, and the members of the county assemblies. I am excited to take part in the election as a first-time voter. There are places in Kenya I would recommend to foreigners, those that have never came to Kenya. Amongst us in this forum, places to visit in Kenya. The coastal beaches, wonderful beaches. The game parks, where you can see all the wild animals. The game reserves. The prehistoric sites such as Kariandusi. Wonderful mountains such as Mount Kenya, Mount Elgon, and Mount Longonot. And the hills and the lakes among others. This marks the end of my first presentation on Kenya. Thank you everyone for listening. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, Johnson. ありがとうございました。
Thank you so
続いては
much. And
キベラスラムについて
next,
で
we will
す。
be hearing more about
よくお
Kibera.
願いします。
York, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good afternoon to you all from this side of Kenya. First and foremost, thank you for being here today. So it's basically we believe that partner breeds hope and future for all. First and foremost, I'm going to make a presentation about Kibera. Have you heard of Kibera? If yes, a great story is worth a repeat. And if no, sit back and enjoy. The origin of Kibera. First and foremost, Kibera was once a forested pastureland. Towards the end of the 19th century, the British, the colonizers of Kenya, they arrived in a place called Water, a small watering hole earlier referred by the Maasai. The first objective was to push Maasai out to make room for white settlers, using Nairobi as a base of operations for East Africa British Protectorate. By 1904, with the establishment of an army barrack, a large forested area next to the barracks was allocated to 300 Nubian soldiers who were serving for the British Army in wars. The British colonial government of the time allowed the settlements to grow informally, primarily because of the Nubian status as a former servants of the British Crown that put the colonial regime in the debt. Nubians left the settlement Kibra, which now is referred to as Kibera, after the Nubian term for jungle, and lived there rightfully as a form of an official pension for their military service. Next slide is of the colonial planning of Kibera, which brought the emergence of Kibera slum. The colonial government restricting Kenyan natives and immigrants of African descent from settling near the administrative capital, Nairobi. Systematic racial segregation took place where Africans in low-level positions for the colonial administration could only apply for temporary permits referred to as Kipande to live in the native reserves, biggest one being Kibera. We have the black men of presenting their permits to white settlers areas. Township was neighboring Eastlight was populated predominantly by the Indians and well-to-do Somalis, and the influx of African migrants greatly contributed to Kibera growth on land they deemed too valuable and too near European settlement. Below is an example of a permit to reside in the municipality African descent. The geography of Kibera. First and foremost, Kibera is situated southwest of the Nairobi capital and flanked by railroad lines on Ngong River. It's an area of about approximately 2.5 million slum dwellers, actually a third of Nairobi population. The Kibera residents represent all major ethnic groups in Kenya backgrounds, with some areas specifically dominated by people of one ethnic groups. Kibera is divided into 13 villages and 2 estates, including East, Gatwekera, Kisumu Ndogo, Lindi, Laisa. Then we have Siranga, we have Makina, we have Salama, we have Ayani and Mashimoni. The Uganda Railway line passes through the center of the neighborhood, providing passengers aboard the train a first-hand view of the slum. What is Kibera known for? As much as Kibera is a slum, there's something good of it. First and foremost, Kibera is one of the biggest. Secondly, is the largest informal settlement in Africa. And thirdly, is vibrant but densely populated place. There's unplanned settlements where housing is not in compliance with current planning and building regulations. What is the type of housing in Kibera? Government owns all the land, as Kibera was gazetted as a forested colonial land that was offered by the British to the Nubian soldiers to settle as an award for fighting for them in wars. The average size of a house is 12 feet by 12 feet, built with mud walls, a corrugated tin roof with a dirt or concrete floor. As you can see in the pictures, that represent the houses in Kibera, where we have it is built with mud walls, a corrugated tin roof with dirt or concrete floor. The cost of owning such a kind of house is 2,000 Kenyan shillings, approximately. These shacks often house up to 8 or more, with many sleeping on the floor. And 10% of people are landlords, whereby 90 of the residents are tenants with no rights who pay landlords rent monthly. What are the two main religions in Kibera? Settlers for the Nubian people from the Kenya-Sudan border. They now occupy about 15% of the Kibera and are mostly the Muslim origin. Then next we have the remaining 85% of Kibera, who are the Christians. What is life like in Kibera? First is that it's a hard life and overcrowded. There's a very high rate of unemployment and most residents are unskilled. Persons living with HIV in the slum are many as AIDS cases. Kibera is greatly underserviced with access to basic services such as medical care, electricity, and running water inefficient. In sanitation, waste is not safely done away with. And last, there's a growing poverty with most residents living earning less than What are the good things about living in Kibera? Definitely, as a resident, I have to take pride in some things about living in Kibera. First and foremost, Kibera is a very efficient economy as products are provided at a lower cost to residents. Secondly, is a cheap labor offering society, cheap and old education as very few institutions comply with governance rules regarding establishment of learning centers. Kibera is a very tax-free economy. You can open your business at any time without paying tax. And lastly, majority of households rely on casual labor, such as food and other essentials, with many already living in extreme poverty. Between leafy suburbs surrounding Kibera. From the first picture, is an image showing the dividing line between the slum of Kibera and a nearby golf course owned by the Queen of England. And on the second picture is the leafy suburbs surrounding Kibera, and whereby you find that the majority of households in Kibera rely on casual labor, such as washing clothes, offered by the middle class income living in the leafy suburbs in the outskirts of Nairobi to provide for their families.
Thank you, York.
よくさんありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。皆様、ご質問はいつでも Q&A のボタン
You
から
can always ask questions and answers to the Q&A button.
続きまして、再びヨークさんがマゴソスクールについて
And now, York will talk about Magoso School. The floor is yours, York.
York 多分今ミュートになっています。
Sorry. Yeah. Welcome back once again to our panelists, our host, and attendees. So for the second presentation, I'm going to talk about Magoso fraternity. Yeah, and basically, Magoso is our home for hope. So the abbreviation meaning of Magoso. Kindly, can you go back? And foremost is Magoso. Yeah. So the abbreviation of Magoso means the Mashimo for the orphans. Talk about the great friendship. Born in Fukuoka in 1966, she has lived in Kenya for more than 34 years. She attended the Tokyo University of Foreign Studies Department of Indian and Pakistani languages, specializing in Urdu. And in 1985, she left school and began seeing the world. At the end of her long travels, she took up residence in Kenya. As a tea girl in a Japanese tour company, Lilian Akinyi met with her best friend, Cheki Hayakawa. 20 years of friendship are still counting. With the help of Cheki Hayakawa, Magoso has grown to heights as both friends shared the vision of bettering a community. The commencement of Magoso started in 1999 by Lilian Akinyi Wagala in the outskirts of Nairobi in Kibera slum. Mrs. Sayakawa says she grew up as an orphan and raised her younger siblings herself. After her brothers and sisters were unable to be on their own, Lillian opened her home. It was in a small shaded community called Mashimoni with no supply. A staff of about 10 pupils gave life to it, running artistic programs to help their students combat anxiety, to overcome the particular and poverty. The growth of Magoso. The center has expanded from the floor of Lydian's house to housing a school, library, kitchen to feed 500 students, computer room, and children playing space. It has taken the goodwill of Chiaki Hayakawa journalism career, seminars through virtual meetings overseas to help it grow and support the vulnerable kids of Kibera slum. The yard at Magoso School is now bordered by high walls, decorated with paintings of Scooby-Doo and Bob Marley. Today, under a blazing morning sun, it is packed with hundreds of children singing and clapping to the beat of drums and acquiring knowledge to better their tomorrow. The integral parts of Magoso as a fraternity. First, we have the Magoso Obog, which is Magoso all boys and all girls, who are basically the alumni of Magoso Primary. Then you have the Magoso Primary School. Third, you have Jumba la Watoto, and you have Magoso Family. And the first integral part of Magoso is the Magoso Obog. After a series of consultations, the establishment of Magoso Obog Fund Support Group by Chiaki Hayakawa and Friends of Japan to help students achieve their education aspirations came to reality. Education builds hope for a better life. A strong belief we have as a gold mine on a last 10 years, Magoso Obog has educated more than 150 students into secondary renowned. We're grateful to Tawando in Japan and others in various fields of employment. The latest development by the Magoso Obog alumni. First is the Magoso Youth Center, community-based organization aimed at developing methodologies to implement sustainable development goals through the creation of a community resource center to empower local socially in raising quality of life. We are proud to have partnered with Kenji Sasaki, who is a social change maker. On the first image is actually the inauguration day of the Magoso Youth Tech Academy, and raising the technology status of our country and equipping youth with and on the other pic, we have Evans Odhiambo, who is a Magoso Obog member and actually a beneficiary of the Magoso Youth Tech Academy, who is actually pursuing software development. The next biggest fraternity of Magoso is the Magoso Primary School. Magoso now provides education to 500 students with access to library, playing ground, art and music, and environmental friendly education center. Lillian, in her own words, say, sometimes You see the children coming in the morning, you look at them and they're sad. But when they start singing, everybody gets excited. They start dancing and laughing. I think this is the best medicine to give the children. And basically, many locals are to the fact that there are no tuition fees payable, as well as its approach to teaching art and music. The education system in Kenya. The national educational system before consisted of 3 levels, which were 8 years of compulsory primary education, beginning at the age of 6. Then we had 4 years at the secondary level, and then we had 4 years of higher education of tertiary level. Below shows a new education system being phased in, termed as CBC, competency-based curriculum. The curriculum that emphasizes the complex outcomes of a learning process. For example, knowledge, skills, and attitudes to be applied by a learner, rather than mainly focusing on what learners are expected to learn about in terms of traditionally defined subject content. The other integral part is Magoso Primary of education programs from kindergarten to class 8, managed by the head teacher, Dano Ching, and his deputy assistant, Ezekiel Gira. We also have music classes for the students, tutored by Ezekiel Gira in readiness for music festival. The schedules of meals, whereby for the breakfast is basically porridge, which is served at 10:30 a.m. For the lunch, you have githeri and maize served at 1 p.m. The subjects taught in Magoso are mathematics, science, social studies, Christian religion, Kiswahili, and English. Activities in Magoso, basically you have music, sports, gas club, art and craft, and a feeding program. For example, in the picture, we have a Saturday feeding program for the community. The next integral part of Magoso is Magoso tailoring, or the Magoso African designs. With an establishment of a tailoring class in 201 by Lillian Akinyi, who is a self-taught tailor, it was a great ambition to instill technical skills to the youths of Mashimoni and enable them to be self-reliant. It has been a great milestone with achievable goal, having a shop in Aranoya in Japan, support the school. We also have to boost the morale of Magoso students and also showcase items being made at the tailoring shop in Magoso school. The other integral part of Magoso as a fraternity is Chumba la Watoto in Mombasa. Magoso runs an orphanage in the village set out in the coastal region of Kenya. Place. It has been in existence since 2000. Village. Students from Kibera slums in there to acquire basic needs such as education. These are children who have lost their parents, those who can't live with their family, with the acceptance of the people of this village. The village vulnerable children are also take refuge in the orphanage. Many Obog alumni have graduated from here. And the last integral part of the Magoso fraternity is the Magoso family. Magoso School has been rescuing impoverished, orphaned children with various vulnerability circumstances. In 1999, under the care of Lilian Akinyi, she has lived with them like her own. That's the end of my presentation about Kibera and Magoso. Thanks all for listening.
Thank you, York. ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much. So now we'll invite Johnson and Agnes back, and we'll hear about the Magoso OBOG Club and about their own experiences as well. Johnson, over to you.
Thank you, the MC, for giving me this opportunity once again to speak to this wonderful audience. To our audience, I must say we are humble and grateful at the same time for keeping on listening to us. Welcome on board as I do my second presentation about the Magoso OBOG. Magoso is an abbreviation of Mashimoni Good Samaritan School for the Orphans. OBOG stands for All Boys and All Girls from the Magoso School. These are the Magoso alumni. Just a brief history of how the club came to existence. In 2007, as the national examinations was done, Magoso had its first pupils sitting for the same examination in the same year. There were a total of 7 pupils who graduated from Magoso Primary School. The questions that arose were, 1, what was the fate of these 7 pupils? Question 2, after the completion of primary school, what next? With these questions, there was need to create a support program to ensure continuity. The support program would provide an opportunity to Magoso school graduates to proceed to higher levels of education, that is accessing secondary education, university education, college education, or even vocational training. This led to the creation of Magoso OBOG Club, producing the first generation called Generation 1. With the formation of Magoso OBOG Club, Chiaki-san and Lilian Wagala became the patrons of the club. Teacher Dan and Teacher Gira became the mentors of the OBOG Club. To have a sustained support system, Chiaki-san would talk to a few of our personal Japanese friends about our program with the OBOGs. These friends would kindly contribute to support the OBOG program. In Hiro Morozumi's words, it is important to note Hiro Morozumi is one of Chiaki's personal Japanese friends. He says, and I quote, I hope many kids can go to secondary school and realize their dream and live an independent life. Today, as a club, we boast of 14 generations. The club is proud to share with you to have supported over 150 students in secondary schools from the 7 students who started the program. Currently, the Magoso Biology Club has students spread all over the country. It is important to note that these students are supported and are in the best secondary schools in the country. Just to mention a few secondary schools that some of our BOGs are. Olkajuado National High School, Riambase Secondary School, Masibos, and Kiteta Girls, among others. A total of 48 secondary school students. Some of the BOG members are in prestigious universities and colleges, like University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, Kisii University, and the Technical University of Mombasa, among other universities. Currently, a total of 17 students. Some wonderful projects over the years have also emerged. Among these projects include tailoring, mentorship programs, fashion show exhibition, music, and local trips. The latest development by Magoso Biology Club includes the Magoso Youth Center. Our audience, I know you are aware because Caleb Wagala has mentioned it in his presentation. The Magoso Biology Club, called the Magoso Youth Center. The Youth Center aims at creating a resource center to empower the youth, both at Magoso and in the entire Kibera slum. I would like to mention a few noticeable members who are part of the Magoso Biology Club. Firstly, I will start with Agnes and Doris, who are currently studying and working in Japan. Secondly, we have teacher Otiso, who has graduated from Kisii University with a bachelor's degree in education and is currently back teaching at Magoso School. Pauline Adana recently graduated from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. We also have Tony, who is doing exemplary well in the music industry, having recorded numerous gospel songs. We also have Victor Obiri, who is the current manager for Solar Panda Energy Company. The list is endless. With the successes, these people still come and give back to Magoso and the community at large, showing their appreciation of what Magoso Biology Clubs has done to their lives. On behalf of the members mentioned, I would like to request Agnes to share with us her story of being in Magoso and how life has been living in Japan. Thank you.
Agnes さん、多分ミュートになっていますよ。
Agnes, I think you're on mute. Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you also especially for joining our event today. I'm so honored. My name is Agnes Simbeli, and I'm joining the event here from Japan today. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just graduated from university in social welfare. And so this is a university in Tokyo, Rissho University. And today, I think that there are people joining from all over different places. Thank you so much. So there are also Professor Murakami and also other people that I'd really like to thank for all of their support until then as well. And thank you also to all of my friends who are joining today as well. So I'd like to speak about what I've learned here in Japan and also a little bit about Kibera as well. I studied until secondary school in Kenya, and then after I graduated, I came to Japan and I studied at a Japanese university from the first year through until today. I studied at a Japanese university for 7 years. There were not many foreign exchange students at the university I went to. It was almost 100% only Japanese students. So I studied together with them in my classes and learned about school, about Japanese culture. And I was able to study together with my Japanese classmates and with Japanese professors as well. I studied welfare and particularly looking for children who are living with illnesses or disabilities. Since I was very small, always loved children. And when I went to university, I always wanted to learn and to study something related to children as well. Since I went to university, I studied particularly about child welfare, and now I am living in Sendai City in Miyagi Prefecture and working at a social welfare center called Adanchi, which is supporting different children with illnesses and disabilities. So I'm working with them every day. And so what I studied is something that I'm able to enjoy in my life and my work every day, what I always wanted to do. And I'm so glad about this. Since coming to Japan, what I learned was, well, there were many different things, but first of all, learning or meeting many different people, learning about different ways of life, about, of course, education, being involved and engaging with many different people, and that everybody's equal, whether you have a lot of money or not. I was also able to learn about Japanese culture and so on. But I think that, Japanese people are always going to be Japanese people, of course, compared to, I think they're very different to a lot of people in other countries. So I felt that no matter how much I can study and so on, the different way that you relate to other people, what you're studying, or these, I think the way of looking down on people or this kind of thing doesn't happen in Japan. Another thing is about the content of my work, but because I'm working with children who are sick or who have disabilities every day and spending each day together with them, what I learned there is no matter whether you have a disability or not, there are certain things that you can do. And everybody has different capacities and potential. In Kenya, I think that there is perhaps different discrimination against people or families with people from disabilities, for example, or people not wanting to be engaged with them. But in Japan, I feel that people with disabilities can be engaged in work just as other people as well, and there's not as many different gaps. What I studied at Risho and Tokyo universities and what I also was in Kenya as well, I think is what I'd really like to share with everybody. And the last thing I want to share is the Japanese country and Japanese culture is very fun. It's very beautiful. And there are almost 200 people. There's 193 people today. And I hope that you can also have a chance to learn about Kenyan culture and Kenyan history as well. Please learn more about Kenya, listen more about Kenya, not only Kenya, but also the whole continent of Africa. Of course, Africa is very large. What a lot of people think, when people hear about Africa, they only think of Kenya maybe, or they only think of certain images, but Africa is a very diverse continent. There are Cameroon, Nigeria, the Congo. They all have very different countries, different cultures, different history. And I really hope to be able to share that with everybody, to study together, and hope that you can have a chance to learn and experience more about Kenya and Africa. I'm so grateful to everybody for joining today, and I hope to continue to learn more about Japan and the world as well. And I hope that we can continue to be connected as well. Thank you. Thank you so much, Agnes. And Johnson, we'll pass back to you. So Johnson, you can continue your presentation.
Thank you, Agnes, for such a wonderful presentation. Back to our audience, we are grateful for continuing to listen to our stories and our experiences in Kenya, and our experiences in living in Kibera, and our experiences living and doing our primary level education in Magoso. Just as Agnes has said, I would also want to share in brief how I found myself in Magoso. I first came to Kibera in 2004. I came to live with my uncle. My uncle at this time was a tailor in Magoso. At this time, I was 6 years old. So there was also need for me to access education, the primary level education. So my uncle came and requested for a chance from Lilian Wagala, the director of Magoso Primary School. And Lilian Wagala agreed and accepted to admit me in Magoso school. I came to the school, and there were a few challenges. Having been living in the village for the better part of my life, that is being born in the village, and now I'm 6 years. The only language I could speak was the Luo, my mother tongue. And I was surprised seeing some of my classmates, not even some, most of my classmates, speaking in Swahili. For me, I was wondering how they were speaking, and all of them were understanding what they were saying. For me, they seemed like aliens. I later on realized that they were speaking in Swahili. Some could even manage to speak in English. And I gave myself a challenge to work on my Swahili, because my colleagues, that is my fellow pupils, used to laugh at me when I tried speaking Swahili. I couldn't speak or utter a word. Or when I'm able to utter a word, I'll utter with the Luo accent. I took it upon me to work on my Swahili and English. By this time, putting food on the table was a challenge. So what was served in Magoso, we could spare some and take home. This we could share with my uncle's children, and we could sleep. Day in, day out. In 2014, I did my KCP, and I went to high school. After going to high school, I managed by the end of the 4 years to score a B of 62 points, and was called upon to join Kenyatta University. This was made possible with the Magoso BOG program. I was admitted to Kenyatta University, did my admission, and began learning. Today, that village boy can speak in Swahili. Today, that village boy can speak in fluent English. Today, that boy has a dream. Today, that boy believes that his dream can come to existence, into a reality, because of what the Magoso BOG system is doing. You've heard in my presentation, talking about Teacher Otiso. You've heard me talk of Tony. You've heard me talk of Victor Obiri. You've heard me talk of Caleb Wagala. their stories are most likely the same as I am. These were vulnerable children who didn't have hope. But Magoso, we call it home of hope. Magoso gave us hope to dream, to realize our dream. Because no matter where we came from, Magoso believed that our dreams are also valid. Today, these people are able to share such a platform. Today, there are some of them that are working, doing well in life. There are those that came before us, like the generation 1, generation 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Currently, we are spanning at generation 15 for the ones who recently did their KCP examination. What I would like to share with our audience is the impact that the Magoso Obog program is doing to the community. Not only in Magoso, but also in the entire Kibera State. And I believe the impact is going to live beyond the first generation, my current generation, and the generation that are going to come. We are given hope, and we are trying to instill that hope in the generation that are coming after us. Thank you for listening to my life experience in Magoso. Kindly the slides. It is evident that the Magoso Obog Club has grown. Many lives have been transformed. It is a thumbs up to Chiaki-san for our effort in resource mobilization. It is also a thumbs up to Lilian Wagala for providing home and hope to these children. As time goes by, the number of vulnerable needy children keeps on growing at Magoso and Kibera slum. The funds are getting limited. This limits the number of students being supported. For this reason, I would like to pledge the forum and the entire Magocoro team of goodwill for support to make the Magoso Obog program bigger, to incorporate more vulnerable and needy children in the Kibera slum. Individually, we are a drop. Together, we are an ocean. We can do so much to educate, to empower, and to enable a child living in Kibera to realize their dream through the Magoso Obog program. As I conclude my submission today, finally, I would like to appreciate everyone for listening and taking part in this important forum. I would also want to, in a greater way, appreciate the organizing committee for organizing such a noble forum and allowing us, the Obogis from Magoso, the chance to speak. To our wonderful audience, I would like to thank you for keeping on listening to our submissions. Everyone, arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, Agnes and Johnson. 皆さん、素晴らしい発表ありがとう
Thank
ござい
you
ます。
so much, everyone, for your wonderful presentations. So now we're happy to continue on, and we'd like to introduce, of course, a great supporter and one of the founders of the school and also a supporter of this event. We're over to Chiaki Hayakawa next. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, to those of you in Japan, and for those of you in Canada, good afternoon. It's still the afternoon here. I am speaking today to you all from Kenya. I've been living here for 34 years, and my name is Chiaki Hayakawa. Today, we're able to share, well, on behalf of the Magoso School, together with Lillian, as was introduced in the presentations, my very dear friend, really my dearest friend in my whole life. We together, really, two of us together have in 1999 founded the school and have been since then really together running the school. And so today at this time, I really feel that we're entering a new era for the Magoso School, having the OBOG club and the representatives of it, the three presenters that we heard from today, really with such excellent presentations, sharing their thoughts, their feelings, and also what they want everyone to know. I'm so proud of them for all of that they did. And also today, we have so many friends from Kenya who are joining the event as well, including Lillian, all of your mother as well. She is with us here online today, listening as well. So, and then also other friends from the Magoso OB-OG Club. Actually, I see that many of you are joining today as well, listening in. And so first of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who was involved in creating this event and this space for us today. And also everybody who has supported the Magoso School for the years, over the years as well. I really would like to give my heartfelt thanks to all of you. And thank you for walking together with us over these many years until now. And so now looking towards the future. And so I think that we really hope that we can work together in the future as well and make these new steps together. Since coming to Kenya and since meeting Lillian, encountering Kibera, my whole life really became so much more rich and full. This power which really made this huge change in my life is thanks to meeting Lillian and seeing how she, having lived such a difficult life with many challenges, losing her parents, having many siblings to live or to support, but never losing hope, always moving forward, looking forward with hope. And seeing her walking, living in this way is something which I've always watched and learned from. And there is so much that I have learned and been blessed with by meeting Lillian. But it's really, so in Kibera for me, seeing people even within very difficult living circumstances, really extremely, extremely difficult living situations, but never giving up on life, never giving up on supporting each other, mutually working together, encouraging each other, and looking at how to make tomorrow a better day in any kind of way as well. These efforts and of everybody, even Kibera may be very poor economically in some ways, but it's a place so full with rich and the light of life. And so together with those people and the Magocoro supporters as well, seeing how we can take efforts together, look forward together, live together with this strength and this power, I really felt, or I was able to experience really profound respect as humans there, really for humanity. And all of my friends living in Kibera, we always say that, what we're given is courage, and as humanity, hope for the future. And I think this is really what we've been blessed with by everybody in Kibera. Lillian, when we started the Magoso School, one of the words that she shared with me, I'd like to share with all of you today as well. Lillian said to me, in life, it's only about whether you do it or not. And that choice is only up to you. You're the only one that can make the decision. I've decided that I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do that. Even if nobody is watching me, I'm still doing it. The reason is because I lost my parents. I'm living in this difficult situation. Maybe could be seen as in such darkness, but I want to be able to have this hope for children, even in such circumstances, for children who do not have their parents, for children who are in desperate situations. For those kind of children to see, I'm going to become their mother. I'm going to look after them. And within my whole life, I'm going to think about how many children I can help, how many children I can save. That's my challenge for my life. That's what I'm going to do right until my very last day. I'm going to continue to work for and to help children as long as I can. And I, hearing these words, saw this light of life shining so brightly, and also the beauty of Lillian's pure heart. And I thought, this is what we need to do. And this is why here, together with Lillian, I want to support Lillian. I want to work with her to do anything I can to make sure that she can do this. And so all of the children that Lillian is supporting, that she is helping, and together with them, I've spent all of these years together walking by their side. And there are things that we'd never even imagined happening now. 20-something years, it's 23 years perhaps, I think, that Lillian and I have been working together, living. And even without being able to take a breath, we've been just running throughout these decades. But one day I realized that the children who were raised at the Magoso school have this enormous power and strength, and they themselves now are starting off on their own new strong paths as well. These young people themselves, even in difficult circumstances, difficult lives, or because they've come from such circumstances, because of such a background, they see how they can support and really fundamentally change and improve their community. And we can see this very strong desire that they have and wanting to work together, and they are continuing to work together, studying so hard and bringing the knowledge and the skills that they have gained and the learning, not only for their own sakes, but also how to return this back to the overall community. And for people who are living in the very difficult circumstances in the slums to be able to raise the overall living standard for everyone. And I have a new sense of certainty. And what this is that Lillian and I, until our very last day, we of course will be continuing to do our work, but things that we were not able to achieve, I'm sure that this next generation, these young people, the OBs and OGs, will be able to continue on from what we started and achieve even greater things, to continue on. And they will be able to go even farther beyond, much higher and greater than we were ever able to. And having this new courage, I'm really given this by everyone at Magoso School, especially the Magoso OB-OG Club. And this is why looking at their path from now as well, I hope that we can just support them just a little bit more. And I hope that all of you will be able to contribute even just a little something in order to them. They are the pioneers of the Magoso OB-OG Club. And behind these pioneers, there are so many other children still coming, following their footsteps. And we hope to be able to bring them just a little bit further, allow them to make just a little bit of progress. And I ask, especially to all of the Japanese audience today, to support us a little bit more, to continue to contribute in whatever way you can. And what you give will contribute by 10 times, by 100 times on top of that. And they will continue this path and go even much further. So with this new period, the new era of Magoso School, I hope that we'll have more and more friends to walk on this journey together with us, to continue to support their journey And we hope we want to expand this friendship circle even further. I'd like to share the screen now and just have some information to share with you. Well, where can you access more information about Magoso and how to support? We have a QR code on here as well. So please feel free to take a photo of the screen so that you can access the website afterwards and take a look. So here we have, there is the association to support Magoso School. So this is where you can read on this website about the lives and everything, the situation of the Magoso School. And this support association is what can help to cover schooling, to cover meals and so on. And also so that they can have even higher education and continue to tertiary education or even further as well to help their support. So we are seeking people who can support these scholarships for Magoso School. We invite you to take a look at the homepage, and this information is also included in the chat as well. And Lillian has also started so many different initiatives, including the tailors who you heard about as well, who are making such really fun handmade products as well. And these are being sold at an online shop in Japan called Haronoya. You can access there to purchase any of the items, really beautiful things that people have put all of their efforts into creating. And you can purchase these online from here in Japan. So I really invite you to take a look. And if you would like to learn even more information, more details, more information, I invite you to take a look at my social media. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, and you're also, of course, welcome to email me anytime, particularly in regards to the Magoso OB/OG Club. We are seeking people who can have one-on-one support for the OBs, OGs as well. And this is a way to also connect even deeper bonds and connections between people. I've created a blog and group here where I can share on there with photographs and articles in Japanese about daily life in Kibera. So if you can join that group, you'll have access to all of these daily updates as well. And today, we also heard, of course, these great presentations from the Generation 8 of the Magoso OB/OG, Johnson. And he has launched something called the Magoso OB/OG TV. So he's filming, editing, and also working together with lots of other friends in Kibera to share different information from their community. So please register the channel, like the channel on YouTube, and you'll be able to follow this as well. And so you can really see that it can make the distance between us so much smaller as well. We're living together here on this planet Earth together, and see how that we can connect this friendship, connect these bonds between us, and see people from all around the world connecting in this way, and see how we can continue toward the future of the world as well. And I hope that we can think about this together from the future. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. Thank you so much, Chiaki Hayakawa. So now we move into the question and answer part of today's program. We have many different questions coming in. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing them. We don't have time to answer all of the questions, so we thank you for your understanding. And so we'd like to ask the first question. The first one is a question for York. Oh, sorry, actually, it's for Agnes. The first question is for Agnes. Agnes, are there any particular traditions or cultures that you mostly want to value and maintain? And if you can explain it so that our Japanese audience is familiar. Sorry, can you ask the question one more time? I couldn't quite hear that. Are there any Kenyan traditions or Kenyan culture that you want to share? Thank you for your question. Kenya has many different traditions. As Johnson introduced, there are 47 different tribes in Kenya, and each of them have their own culture, their own different items as well. For example, how to wear the clothing, what kind of food they eat. The music is also different for each as well. So I hope that you can have a look at YouTube to learn more about Kenya. If you look at that, you can see a lot of different videos. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Agnes, for your answer. So we'll go to the next question. And this is a question for Johnson. Johnson, what are the moments that you feel happy? When do you feel most happy, Johnson?
Thank you for the question. The moments I feel happy is when I'm able to, even in a little way, empower someone that is coming behind me, below me. If I'm able to, at least in a way, because I've been empowered. So I dream to empower, even in a little way. So when I'm able to empower, that's when I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Johnson. So sorry that we don't have so much time, so we'll just have one more question. And this last question is for York. York, if you could study or work in a different country, what country would you want to go to? This is for York.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Basically, as a student, so basically I would like to go to a country that has so much technology so that I can ensure that I develop some apps that can better the life of a normal citizen in our country. Yeah, so basically most probably Japan and European countries. Yeah.
Thank you for your answer, York. So thank you so much for the many questions that were sent in. I'm sorry we don't have time to ask all of them, but we'd like to have the last presentation here. We'll have 3 of the Japanese youth members to share their reflections on today. Thank you so much for joining our event. Get to know us, Magoso School in Kibera Slum, our stories of stepping out to the world. We're really grateful to have all of you joining today. And from now, we'd like to share some of our group's members, the Magocoro Japanese youth team's impressions of our involvement in being organized in this event. There are 4 main things we want to share: what we were surprised at, impressed by, our changes in our thinking, and things that we want to tell the participants, that we want to convey to you. So first of all, what surprised us? First of all, the fact that both the youth from Magoso and we, the Japanese team, share the same common desire that is the same for any country, that we want to improve not only our own country, but the whole planet. We believe that the organizing team, which was working together until today, of course, but everybody else who is joining today's event really shares this desire as well. And this strong feeling is also what led to many different exchanges of opinions in the many meetings that we had to prepare for today's event. Each participant clearly and firmly expressed what they wanted to say, what they were thinking. Of course, with different countries, there will be differences as well. What Japanese people take for granted might not be the same for people in Kenya, and of course, vice versa as well. But one of the things that surprised us was, for example, something that Japanese people don't think about as something special, like lifelines such as electricity. Well, this can be cut off in Kenya. So it's not always possible to study all day long, even if you want to. Knowing this, we were able to realize that the environment we are here in Japan is not something that we should take for granted. One of the things that also surprised us when we were preparing this is that we ourselves also met for the first time as well, but we were all so motivated and we could empower and inspire each other. Because of the COVID pandemic, we didn't have to come together in one place physically, but we could connect together online anytime. It was such a great feeling to know that there were people sharing the same kind of thinking all over Japan, and getting to know each other was also very motivating. We were also via Zoom be able to get to know all of the Kenyan participants as well. And even though we come from such different backgrounds, we had the same interests and we were able to fully utilize our different imagination and linguistic strengths that each and every one of us has. Next, I'd like to share some of the different things that we were impressed with or that left a very strong mark on us. In Japan, there are educational disparities, but of course, students who are living in slums have to have many more disadvantages even beyond that. And these are things which shouldn't have to exist anymore. For example, even if they want to go on to study, not having enough money to go to higher education, or family environment, meaning that perhaps it's not possible to obtain an adequate educational opportunity, or due to surroundings, meaning that sometimes you can kind of fall off the path in a way. Understanding this situation makes us realize even more why the Magoso OB/OG members and Hayakawa-san are together really like the warmth of a family. In addition to this, the feeling of wanting to improve Kibera and wanting to improve the Magoso school, and really having this strong attachment and desire and pride as well. Being allowed to share this desire was such a great blessing for all of us, and really wanted us to do our best in today's event as well. Next, I'd like to share about some of the things that changed in our way of thinking. In preparing today's event, there were several different changes that we felt in our experience as well, and I'd like to give you an example of this. First of all, was the change in the sense that by actually doing something ourselves, we could, for example, spread the word about Magoso to other people, and by increasing interest in Magoso, then people could become more aware, not only about a particular community issue or just about Kibera, but even about global issues. And really seeing that the issues of Kibera, people can think about global issues as well. Also, through this activity, we also realized, for example, our own language skills or communication skills were maybe not enough all the time. And we really felt the need to work even harder. We also thought about, for example, some different stereotypes or prejudices that we had just from what we'd been taught in school textbooks or the mainstream media, being able to really notice or learn new things. And we felt so grateful about that chance. Also, before the event, Kenya just felt like a fiction somewhere in a distant country. But as we talked with our friends in Kenya and learned more about the situation, we began to feel closer to the country, even exchanging messages on social media if we wanted to say something to each other, and sharing that we both have this mutual desire to make the world a better place. But at the same time, sometimes we felt this kind of frustration at the fact that even though we're the same young people, just the fact that we're born in different places means that there are different challenges in working towards the same goals. Also, at first, maybe some people became involved because they just thought, oh, we want to help people in poverty. But then through this experience and through working together, realize how important it is to think together and act together with the local people rather than just thinking from outside. Other than that, we also had, for example, some people were worried about how they could work and make an event together with people that they'd never met before. But by having regular meetings and talking on social media and having very detailed communication together, felt that if you can work together with someone else, you can make an event such as today and really gain confidence through this process. So these were some of the things that within our members as well. Many other different changes or new learnings we had, and I think that we could all really grow a lot through organizing this event together. And last, I would like to share some of the things that our team wants to convey, to communicate to all of the audience members today. And there are 4 points. The first is also in the title of today's event, but first wanting to get to know about each other, get to know about, first of all, thinking about the reality of this place 10,000 kilometers away from Japan. There are realities there that we cannot neglect, but there are people who are living every day to their fullest with a smile on their face. The brilliance and the greatness of the people of Magoso, we want people to know. And above all, the infinite possibilities of education. One of our team members shared the phrase, education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. And these words are a favorite phrase that we would like to communicate to all of you who are joining today. Even if you're coming from a different country, even if you're just a student, even if you can only meet online, the more you know, the more you realize that you can do something for someone else, that there is some way that you can contribute. And because we know this, because we realized, and because of all of you, we think that it is important to do the best we can now and to take action in whatever way we can. And we also want people to be interested in Magoso. We want everybody also to learn, just as the Magoso OBs, OGs, and Hayakawa-san and others value the warmth of family, human love is essential for education. So for that reason, we want everybody to get to love Magoso. And last but not least, we want everybody together to come together to support the dreams of the young people of Magoso together. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, so much for your presentations. So how was it for the audience to listen to people who were born or raised in Kibera and learn about their next steps after Magoso school? We hope that more and more people will get to know and love Magoso, both the school and the alumni, and walk together from now as well. In organizing the event, we learned so much from Chiaki, York, Johnson, Agnes, and everybody else involved. What we learned is not just a story from a country far away, but the people in our same generation, our young people, we're not strangers. So York, Johnson, and Agnes, who really taught us so much about how it is. I hope that together we can bring our voices to even more people around the world and together create more opportunities and chances for the young people of Magoso. We hope that this event made everybody want to learn and to know even more as well for the future. And we hope that this can be a catalyst for next steps. So this brings us to the end of today's event, but we'd like to say once again, thank you so much to everybody who participated. Both Japan and everywhere around the world is still in a very difficult situation today. So we ask you to take care of yourselves, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you again one day, not too far away. And we will also have a questionnaire for all of the audience members, the participants today. So we hope that you can share your thoughts with that as well. Thank you once again, everybody. And that brings us to an end of today's session. Thank you.